All right. So I asked you to make a list of your top 25 players currently in the NBA. So
Yep.
what we'll do is I'll have you break down your top five. We'll kind of break it in pieces, so we're not just listing of names. So I want you to take your top five, and then I'll give you my top five. Oh no, actually, let's start reverse. Let's go in reverse order. So give me from 25 to 20, or 25 to 21.
I thought we were only supposed to do top 20.
Oh, did you only do top 20?
I only did top 20. That's what I thought we
Okay.
said.
All right. Well, I'll give you my 25.
All right.
Uh, so I got at 25. I got Trey Young. I I'm not sure where Trey Young is going to go in his career. I think he puts up a lot of great numbers on a mediocre team. I'm just not sure he's the guy that you're going to win with. So I kind of have him at 25, kind of just in that middle range. 24, I have Jalen Brown. I really like Jalen Brown, but I think he is more of a two. So kind of, I think in that 20, I think in the 15 to 25 range, 15 to 30 is where your number twos on a championship team or a really good team are.
Okay.
Sit. Um, so this is kind of what we're getting into. So I have Jalen Brown at 24. At 23, I have Demonis Sabonis. I really like him. He's kind of Jokic light. I like him as a number two. I think he and Fox can, if they get the right pieces around them, I think they can be a true contender. At 22, I have Paul George, and then 21, I really wanted to put. I have Anthony Edwards. I really wanted to put him in 20 in the top 20. I really like his game, and I definitely think by this time next year he's going to be in the top 20. I just had a
Yep.
hard time putting him in that top. So that's my 25 to 20.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. The only person that I had in your top 25 in my top 20 was Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
So you wanted to put him in there, and I put him in there. Yeah. Sabonis, I don't know if he can be a two. We saw him, like, the Warriors exposed him offensively. Like, his mid range, like, he needs to work on his mid range game, bro. Like, you're telling me you can't hit a wide open mid range jump shot? Like,
Yeah, but I also think that that's the team they were going with or going against. Um, I want to see him. That was the first experience we've had seen from him in the playoffs, really. So I want to see him. Still going to put him up there because I loved what he accomplished in the regular season, and he did have moments in that series against the Warriors. So I do want to see him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt now by putting him there in the top 25. But I want to see him against other teams because that may have just been the Warriors and
yeah.
the whole situation,
I think he
and the
played
De'Aaron
good.
Fox being injured.
Yeah, I think he played good. I don't think that his he just had weaknesses on offense that I was unaware of, and the mid range game was like killing the team. So, but other than that, he's good. Defensively, he's okay, but offensively, he's pretty good.
All right,
So I'll go
so
and
go
do.
ahead and go from 20 to 16.
All right. So 20, I have Anthony Edwards. 19, I have John Morant. 18, I have Bam Adebayo. 17, I have Donovan Mitchell. And 16, I have De'Aaron Fox.
Okay, that's pretty close to mine. So then
Nice.
I'll give you I'll just list mine and then we can kind of debate it. So at 20, I have Bam Adebayo. Really like his game. One of the best defensive players in the league, in my opinion. 19. So actually, I swapped them. So I just put Jalen on this list. I have Jalen Brown at 19. At 24, it was Jalen Brunson. So I have Jalen Brunson at
Oh,
25.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have Jalen Brunson at 24 and then Jalen Brown at 19. So it's kind of that same thing, just a couple of spots. Both I think are would be number twos. I think can be definitely number twos, high end number twos on a team. 19 or 18, sorry, I have John Morant. And then 17, I have De'Aaron Fox. And then 16, I have Jamal Murray.
Nice. Okay. Um,
Wait, so
yeah.
Jamal Murray is not in that range. Do you not have him in your top 20?
Oh, he's in my top 20. Oh, for sure.
Okay. All right. All
Jamal
right.
Jamal is my boy. I thought he was your boy, but apparently not.
No,
Apparently
he
he's
is. You were such a doubter against Jamal. You're like You're De'Aaron or Devin Booker's your boy. What are you talking about?
I mean, we'll
Every
see
time we
where,
debate the Jamal Murray versus Devin Booker, you're on Devin Booker's side. And
bro. I mean, yeah,
before this,
okay. Jamal is your 16. I mean, clearly Devin Booker's ahead of him, right?
yeah, for the listeners,
Oh,
Jamal Murray is my favorite player in the entire NBA, and he's been that since he drafted. I just love his game. I like him in Kentucky, so Jamal Murray is my favorite. I mean, Matt knows I have a canvas of Jamal Murray right as I walk into my apartment.
wouldn't be able to tell based on your ranking. Wouldn't
I
be able
mean,
to tell.
I have to be intellectually honest here, so I have to put Jamal at 16. I just have a problem putting him above. Not a problem. It was hard for me to justify putting him above some of these other guards that I have in that next tier.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's better than. I don't know where you have Donovan Mitchell at. I guess we'll see, but I think he's better than
So,
Donovan
spoiler:
Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell's right at 15. So I have Mitchell right above Jamal at
Yeah,
15.
I think Jamal's better than Mitchell. Mitchell played honestly pretty bad in that Knicks series in the playoffs. We saw what he did with the Jazz, but he was the guy taking all the shots. Like Darius Garland, like I think Darius Garland is going to take that next step and it's going to become his team. I think Donovan Mitchell is better now, but Darius Garland is such a better team player than Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's like a ISO team guy or ISO me guy. He's a great player, but I don't
I
like it
agree
when.
with that. I just think so. My justification, just trying to be intellectually honest with this. I my thing with Jamal is if you're taking just playoff version of Jamal Murray, I think you can argue that he's top 10. But if you're just combining regular season with playoffs, yeah, Donovan Mitchell didn't have a great series, but we've seen him perform at Jamal Murray's level in the playoffs. Jamal
Yeah,
Murray's obviously done it later in the playoffs. So if Jamal Murray was a little bit better in the regular season up to this point, I would have him higher up and even higher than Donovan Mitchell. I'd have him even further. But I just have to give credit to Donovan Mitchell for performing in both. We've seen him perform in the playoffs. And then kind of knock Jamal Murray just for his regular season performances up to this point because his career high is only 21 points per game in the regular
yeah.
season. I do think he's a big game player and he has a hard time. It's kind of like Jokic, it's just that mentality of the team. I think they struggle to get up for meaningless games on a Tuesday in February. So that's why I think we haven't seen that consistency from Jamal in the regular season. But once it comes playoff time where it's, do or die and every game means something, we've seen him perform. So I just want to see that from Jamal Murray. I do think that now we'll see. I think Jamal will have a really good regular season. But for now, I just have to give respect to Mitchell and some of these other guards for performing in the regular season.
Yeah, me personally, I hold the playoffs at a lot higher of a caliber. Like, I'm sure you do too. But
Yeah.
for me, it's like playoffs are like 2/3, and the regular season is like a third. If a player wasn't in the playoffs, I'm not going to hold it against them. That's partially their fault, but not completely their fault. But when we do see them in the playoffs and they didn't perform, especially like Donovan Mitchell, I feel like if he's not playing, if he doesn't shoot well, the team loses. If he shoots well, the team wins. I want I want better players that are better all around. So where if they're not shooting well, they can contribute in other ways. And I just Donovan Mitchell isn't that. Um, so that's why I have him where I have him. But
Yeah, so the
um,
way I was just looking at this ranking was just these aren't necessarily the top 25 players in order of how I'd want them to build a team around. Because I'd
yeah,
want Jamal Murray over Donovan Mitchell just because he is such a special player in the postseason when games matter. But just if we're taking pound for pound the best players and ranking them, I just have them over for now. Just because,
yeah,
like, if we get another season with Jamal Murray playing another 21 points, then it's like yeah, there are players who are 82 game players and there are players who are 16 game players. Jamal Murray is clearly a 16 game player, but I think you do need him to up his game in the regular season, especially now. And, it's kind of getting into Nuggets talk, but going into this season after winning a championship, having that run, I think the players are going to have to find ways to motivate themselves to perform because you can easily see this team taking the regular season, being lackadaisical through the regular season, like, oh, it doesn't matter. We'll get into the playoffs as a fourth seed or whatever and then perform. I think they're going to need to find ways to motivate themselves, and the Nuggets are going to need Jamal Murray, especially because I do think Jokic will take a lot of games off
Yeah, and I
in the
think
regular
that's
season.
true for everyone other than Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray never being an all-star is going to step it up. I think him I think him coming back from the ACL last year, that's why his numbers were so low. He struggled at the beginning of the year. So I think he's going to really try to have a good regular season. I hope he doesn't try too hard. That's my worry is that he's going to go too hard and be rusty or get injured or something. But I just I know when the lights are on, Jamal Murray comes to play, and I value that so much. Like that's like to me that is the most important thing. Like guys can ball in the regular season all they want. I don't really care. Like show it to me when it matters. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So yep.
All right, go and give your next grouping.
So for 15 through 11, 15 I have Damian Lillard. 14 I have Jamal Murray, so I have Jamal Murray over Dame, which is you could argue is a little sus, but that's where I got him. Then we have 13 I got Shea, Gillis Alexander. 12 I have Anthony Davis, and 11 I have Jimmy Butler.
Okay. So at 15, I have Mitchell, like I said. 14, I have Dame. 14, I have Dame. 13, I have Shea, SGA. 12, I have KD. And 11,
Wow,
I have LeBron. So
wow.
I'll kind of explain my things. I think LeBron is done as that number one option. I think LeBron is now shifting more of like he can give you all he's got for 50 games during the regular season, and he can give you all he's got for 16 games in the postseason as long as it's like 2.5 quarters. I think LeBron's at the age, and it's no knock on LeBron. I mean, he's up there in age, has so many miles from all the postseason runs and championship runs and finals appearances. But I think he's at the point with all the mileage and the wear and tear that it's where, yeah, he has to pick and choose his battles and pick and choose the quarters he has to attack. I have LeBron. I would have LeBron lower, but I think just peak LeBron when he is on is still arguably a top 10 player in the league. I just think I knock him down from the top 10 because of that, because he has to pick and choose battles, pick and choose quarters. KD, I think from that series, I know a lot of people are hyping up KD. I think what we saw, one, we saw him struggle a lot, but KD has not been the same. I was actually watching old games. I watched a couple of Nets games um, from a couple years ago before his major injury. And even just a couple years ago, Katie looks completely different than the player he is now. He's so much faster, so much more assertive. I think there are games that KD can give you that, but I think from what we saw in the playoff run, his points just felt so inconsequential. I don't think at any point it was shifting the momentum of the game when he was scoring and going on the scoring tears. The games that he did play well, um, I think the injuries and the age just piling up, and that body type with those injuries, lower leg injuries, all piling up. I think KD's really slipped out of the top
Yeah, so I have KD higher. KD shot 60% from two last year. 60%. That's crazy. That's like center. That's like center stuff. And he's
10.
shooting tons of mid ranges. That's elite. 60% from two. That's crazy. He also shot 40% from three, which is great. In the last 3 seasons, he's played an average of 45 games.
Yeah.
Before tearing his Achilles, he was averaging 70 a year. Okay, give or take. So since his Achilles injury, he has not been able to withstand a lot of games. But maybe this year's different. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think KD's still a really good player. Putting him at 12, I think is crazy, bro. I think that's disrespectful,
I mean,
personally.
12 being the 12th best player in the league is still a great player. I just don't think he's I don't think he's the best player on that team, and I don't think he's the number one option on that team. And as you were saying, since the injury, it's been a couple of years since the injury. He's. I'll challenge you. Go watch a couple of those games. Just refresh yourself, even if it's just highlights. Just refresh yourself of old KD, old Nets KD,
Yeah,
completely different player.
I'm not saying he got better since then, but he's. I mean, how would you rank him as far as like offensive players? Like for just offensive ability, where is he at for you?
Just offense ability. I mean, he might be top 10 just offense. He is
Just
top 10
offense?
just offense. Yeah,
I mean, I think he's one of the best offensive players in the game. I think he's one of the best offensive players in the game, personally.
yeah. I
Uh,
think he's definitely taking a step back, but
I mean, yeah, but his shooting's just so great. Like I saw 60% from two, and he hasn't done that in his career ever, and I was just like mind blown, because he's playing so great. So
yeah, but he's taking so many mid ranges because he can't get to the basket consistently anymore, and he's not shooting anywhere near the amount of 3 pointers that he should be. And it's just since the injury and just his body type in general, it's so much easier to knock him off of his spot. And we saw that in those games where, because Aaron Gordon did a great job on him in that series, and we saw putting that bigger body on him was able to knock KD off the spot easily. But all right, go ahead and go over your next.
um okay. So my 10 through 6. 10 I have LeBron James. 9 I have Devin Booker. 8 I have Kawhi Leonard. 7 I have Jason Tatum, and 6 I have KD.
Okay, pretty close except for the KD low from you. I don't know. I think you're just a Suns fan.
I'm not.
At
They're just he's a great offensive player.
uh 10 I have Anthony Davis. I think he has the injury concerns, but I think Anthony Davis is the best player on the team. And I think in order for them to win, to be a contender and have a chance this year, he's going to have to be the best player on that team. So at 10, I have Anthony Davis. He did have a very good postseason. 9, I have Devin Booker. Um, my only problem with Devin Booker is he's so it's we haven't had I mean we've had a ton of examples in elimination games. He's god awful in elimination games, just god awful in elimination games historically for him in his career. He has to fix that. I think if he stays on that path and just continues to be the front runner player that he is, I think a new coach and getting it all in and changing up the roster a lot may help that because I think just in general that franchise with the Chris Paul and the Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder. That whole team, I think, was a front runner team, and I think when they got punched in the mouth, they collapsed. And I think hopefully that will change for Booker with a whole new feel to it, new roster, pretty much a new coaching staff. But if not, I think he's gonna be just be further down my list this point next year and even in years to come if he continues to be that guy who shrinks in the biggest moments. At 8, I got Jimmy Butler. At 7, I have Kawhi Leonard, and then 6, I have Jason Tatum.
Okay. Yeah, so really close other than the KD. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Uh where did you have Jimmy Butler?
8.
8. Okay. Uh so I was running through this with LeBron and Jimmy Butler being in my I was like, who do I put in the top 10? And I was like, in my mind I asked, when has Jimmy Butler ever been a top 10 player? When do you think he's ever been a top 10 player? Has he ever been a top 10 player?
I think after this postseason run.
So he's 33. So to say that he's never been in the top 10 and now he's in the top 10 at 33, his regular season, not that great. He averaged 23 points a game. I know that's not all that he does, but he didn't have a great regular season. You could say he had a great playoffs. He averaged 27 points a game, but that was mainly because of his first round against the Bucks.
Well,
Against the Bucks,
I think the Jimmy Butler story is the Jamal Murray story. with regular. You know what you're getting in the regular season, and you know what you're getting in the postseason. And I think it's the same thing. I just think Jimmy Butler's better defensively, obviously, than Jamal Murray is. Jamal Murray may have a higher offensive ceiling, but I think it's that same thing. And I think I just have Butler over Jamal because we've seen Butler perform in the regular season, and Butler was the number one option. I'm not sure if Jamal Murray would have the same success as the number one option. Butler
That's
being to
fair.
two finals and this postseason run, that's why I have him at 8.
I just think it's scheme over team with the Heat. I think Jimmy Butler's a good player. I just don't think he's a top 10 player. The first round, these are his points: 35, 25, 30, 56, 42. After that, there was only one game where he broke 30. Like, and in the finals,
Yeah.
it didn't play that great.
Well, he got hurt against the Knicks, and then in the finals, he did show up in the moments where he had to, but he was hurt. He got hurt against the Knicks, so
I
he's battling
so
that injury. But and then even
I don't
this
know.
run, we saw him. He took a Heat team in the bubble to the finals as well. So he's been to 2 finals.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler's a great player. I just don't think he's top 10. I mean, they beat the Bucks, which were injured. With Giannis was injured, right? And Jimmy
So
Butler played phenomenal in that series. If he played that way in that series the whole entire postseason, I'd say he's probably a top 5 player. But he
where did you
didn't.
have Butler
I had Butler at 11, so just right outside the top 10.
and
But
LeBron 10?
I have LeBron 10. Yeah.
Well, so then make the argument for LeBron over Butler.
Well, I mean, let me get through the Butler thing. So they beat the Bucks where Giannis was hurt. They beat the Knicks, not a great team, in my opinion, not a great team. And then they beat the Celtics, who just choked straight up. Like the Celtics are just not it. Like they just don't have it, in my opinion. So I think the Heat kind of got lucky, and they have the best coach in basketball, Eric Spoelstra, uh, and they shot crazy well. If they don't go to the finals, I don't think you have them in the top 10. Uh, I think they got lucky with Giannis being hurt, and did they take advantage of it? For sure. But if they don't get out of the first round, then Butler's in like maybe probably the top 20. So I just think it's a little overreaction, not just from you, but from other people as well, saying, "Oh, the Heat went to the finals. Jimmy Butler was the best player on that team. We have to put him in the top 10." And I'm just not buying what is being sold with that. Uh, I think LeBron, you put him on a team, he makes every team better, more better than Jimmy Butler does. Not by a whole lot, but he does. LeBron can do everything better than Jimmy Butler other than on-ball defense. I think LeBron is better in every single facet other than on-ball defense.
Yeah, I just think I mean it may seem like overreaction, but I think it's just the compiling of the things. So we've seen Jimmy Butler go to 2 finals now, but even before this season, they were in the Eastern. They've been to a couple Eastern Conference Finals. Like I think it's just all of it coming together, the culmination of it, and then Butler leading that team of just nobodies pretty much to the finals. That's why I think it may seem like recency bias, but I think it's just taking the sample size because he probably should have been top 10 before this season. But
Yeah, I don't know. I know he's not a stats person. Like it's what he brings to the team. He's a winner. That's what he does. I just feel like Eric Spoelstra is so important to that team. I feel like he's doing. If it wasn't for Eric Spoelstra, then Jimmy Butler would be doing the same thing that we saw him do with every other team: take him to the playoffs, first round exit. That's my take, because Jimmy Butler has gotten worse. Like he's gotten worse. Yet now all of a sudden he's on a great team. So I don't know.
all right, go ahead and give your top 5 then.
Top five. Top five, I have Joel Embiid. So 5, I have Joel Embiid. 4, I have Luca. 3, I have Steph. 2, I have Giannis. And number 1, I got Jokic.
Yeah, pretty much same. Pretty. I just have Joel Embiid and Luca swapped. I have Luca 5, Joel Embiid 4, Curry 3, Giannis 2, and then Jokic 1. Yeah, at this point, I don't think there's much debate. I think there's a clear number 2. I wouldn't judge you if you want to take Giannis over Jokic, just because of the defensive aspect. I think Jokic is the best offensive player in the league. I don't think there's much debate for that anymore. Currently being the best offensive player in the league, I think to me Jokic is the clear number one. But I wouldn't judge you if you want to choose Giannis. I think if you want to take anybody other than Giannis as the best player in the league, I just think you'd be being biased or you're just crazy.
Yeah,
I think
I
Jokic is
agree.
the best one.
I If you put Giannis as number one, I think you just don't like Jokic.
Nope.
We've seen Giannis in the playoffs get stopped and like visibly frustrated because he cannot do what he wants to do, which is barrel into the paint. We've seen it so many times where teams just scheme against him and it's worked. You can't scheme against Jokic. Jokic is unstoppable on offense. The only thing holding, quote unquote, holding him back is his defense. And the Nuggets have done a great job of scheming a defense to help help hide Jokic's weaknesses. Now, will offenses next year be able to design a way to break that scheme? Probably, but hopefully they can figure it out by the playoffs. As a Nuggets fan, uh, but yeah, I mean, Jokic is the best player in the world. I haven't seen anyone put Giannis number one. I've only seen Jokic be number one, and he should be. Uh, Now the question is, if Giannis doesn't have a first round exit, do we still do this? Uh, I still would personally. Nuggets winning the NBA Finals, but I think it's a discussion if they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Bucks. Uh,
Yeah,
with
that's
that
why
being
I don't think it would be crazy. Sorry, I don't think it would be crazy. That's for that reason. I don't think it would be crazy to be honest, just because recency bias, like you were saying with Butler. Um, my biggest deciding factor with Jokic over Giannis is the so every player is gonna have weaknesses and things you can expose. The thing or weaknesses, every player has weaknesses. There's no perfect player. Curry's too small. Embiid, not a great passer, too many turnovers. Every player has weaknesses. The problem is, or the key thing is to not be able to be exposed for that weakness. Giannis's weakness is his shooting and his overall offensive game. He's been able to be exposed. We saw this playoff run, and I think everybody got um too taken away by Jokic getting exposed, quote unquote, against the Warriors and the Suns when their backcourt was Faku Campazzo and Austin Rivers. But we saw this playoff run, teams tried to expose Jokic the same way. They weren't able to, so that's why that was my deciding factor. Jokic has not been able to be exposed when he has a good team around him or his full team. Um, where his starting backcourt isn't guys who aren't in the league or getting any playing time. He hasn't been exposed by his weaknesses. Giannis has. That's my
yeah,
main argument. Yeah, I don't think it would be crazy if you want to have Giannis over Jokic. There are a couple of people, usually like the haters. David Aldridge, I think, still does. Known Jokic hater. Nick Wright definitely gave Jokic a lot of praise, but he still says he says there's definitely an argument for Jokic to be number one. He at this point he wouldn't knock anybody for having Jokic one, but he will still choose Giannis. That's what he has said up to this point.
yeah,
Couple people.
yeah. One thing for Giannis, if there's anyone in the league I think that can guard Jokic, I think it is Giannis. I think Giannis is fast enough. I think he's smart enough, and he has the athletic ability to do his best to guard Jokic. I think if it was Bucks versus Nuggets in the finals, I think that would be an all-time matchup. You put Giannis on Jokic, and it would be tough. Uh, so I Giannis is a great defensive player. I just think his weaknesses are more easily exposed than Jokic's.
Man, the NBA would absolutely hate a Milwaukee versus Denver finals.
I mean, they're small markets, but like Giannis versus Jokic, these are like some of the greats of our era. I
Yeah, but
think,
we saw them struggle to make interesting storylines out of Miami versus Denver.
yeah,
Two other
storylines,
small
but
markets.
the viewership was good though. The
Oh, I know. I'm
viewership
just
was
saying
good.
the league. The league always wants bigger markets.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
league would want Celtics versus Lakers every year.
if the writers can't come up with headlines, do a better job. Like that's what? Like you got to do what you're working with.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
easy. Lakers versus Celtics.
that's been the argument, but
Yeah,
well,
no,
that's our top 25 players. Just want to give a big thank you again to everybody for coming and spending time and listening to us. Thank you. We hope that you continue to listen and continue to watch. And if you're on YouTube, give us that like, please. Comment, subscribe. We will like any comments, even though if you want to be a hater, bring it. I'll get in the comment section and we'll debate, or hit me up on Twitter. Do you have anything to say before we get out of here, man?
no. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate you. We had like 80 views on the first vid. We appreciate it. Shout out all you guys. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yep, I know it's not a lot, but thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch us. Thank you.